got an email, and I generally don't read these in this part of the program, but it combines sort of two things that I want to talk about. Well, first off, is the Nation magazine came out with a very strongly worded editorial about we can't afford to be silent on these drone strike program that the Obama administration has implemented. Now, understand, if we're talking about drones attacking people on a battlefield, if we're talking about we're engaged in a war and we're on a battlefield, these things become a lot less complicated. Perhaps no less lethal, but if we're talking about fighting an army or clearly militants, that's fine. But I mean, we spent some time going over this drone program, and there's nothing clear about this. Signal strikes, we don't even know who we're hitting. We don't even know who we're hitting. We're just hitting an area where we think there might be militants. And we also have a policy of naming anyone that we hit with a drone as a de facto militant because we hit them with a drone. So it really goes a long way into cutting down on that collateral damage because there's no such thing as collateral damage anymore. And the notion that we can kill an American citizen with a drone strike without judicial review, that the notion that we no longer have a standard of judicial review as a function of due process, but rather a committee of people who are just in the business of killing other people, is ridiculous. So, this is something we should be talking about. And I'm glad to see the Nation is. I don't see it in many other places, frankly, although Chris Hayes, of course, had his Nation colleague Jeremy Scahill on the program, I think it was a week or so ago, to talk about it. And I think that's why the Nation came out strong, because Scahill was attacked for pointing this out. But I got an email from a listener, and he said, Dear Sam, I've been listening to your program for about a year and a half before that. I caught you on Air America. You do a fine job, as fine a job as can be expected within the context of American politics. Well, yeah, I do speak within the context of American politics. And that's the problem. The latter has become a complete charade, corrupt through and through, with no end in sight. Tough for me to argue. I would quibble maybe at the margins, but... So when I hear Senator Merkley, for whom I voted, utter the phrase, take it to the American people, I want to throw up. When was the last time the politicians listened to the 99%? I interviewed Senator Merkley on Friday from Netroots Nation. I can understand some jadedness as to the notion of taking it to the American public. Although I could point out some nominal movement, at the very least in rhetoric, as a function of what the American public has done. But send more money, shouts the Obama camp, because Romney raised more in May than they did. Disgusting. The other thing is, all right, so let me just take that. I'm not giving any money to politicians right now. I can just tell you that. Because I do have a certain measure of disgust. But, and I'm not saying that people shouldn't or should. I'm just talking me personally. The other thing is, I know you're going to vote for Obama. It is true. I have stated that I will probably vote for Obama. And when I say that, understand that I am making that statement in the capacity as a host of this show. In other words, I live in New York State. I have a certain latitude as because I live in New York State. But when I say that I am going to probably vote for Obama, I am saying that because in the context of that I think it's important, particularly in a swing state, that people vote for Obama over Romney, unless somehow we have some miraculous third choice that is actually viable, which I don't. It doesn't seem possible to me. That's fine. That's your prerogative, but that's where I draw the line. His drones killed children like your own. He pursues whistleblowers with unprecedented vengeance, strips us of our civil rights, etc., etc. Yes, I know these things because I've covered these things extensively on this program. Extensively. Perhaps more so than on virtually any other program. There's probably a couple out there but it's certainly more so than any other program with the resources that we have. Your rationale is that Romney would be worse, kill more children, and so forth. Oh, yes, and the Supreme Court. Romney will appoint conservatives, i.e. fascists like Roberts. Yes, he will, and Democrats will just go along. Obama will appoint candidates that are to the right as well because Republicans know he can be had and won't stand for anything less than another conservative. The Supreme Court, another corrupt institution that should have been dumped years ago. All right, well, regardless of whether or not you think that somehow something should have dumped the Supreme Court, that's not going to happen. I don't know the mechanism in which that could happen. What you're talking about is fantastical. What really should happen, if that's the way that we can think, is that I should just be appointed president with the power to overturn everything that we both disagree with. That's what really should happen. And then there's a whole list of other subsidiary happenings that could happen that will make things even better. And yes, Obama will probably follow the trend of replacing anyone sitting on the court, at least of the four, with someone who is more conservative. But there is no doubt in my mind that if President Obama replaces one of the five, that will probably be the first time in 50 years that a Supreme Court appointee would actually move the balance of power towards the left, even if it's a marginal change. Will it be a corporatist liberal? Probably. But relative to Romney, who would undoubtedly appoint a Roberts or an Alito or a Thomas, there's no debate there. You can also say, well, the Supreme Court's a sham and it should be completely wiped away. Well, that's not going to happen. It's still going to make very important decisions that are going to continue to dictate our lives in some very important ways. But then he goes on to ask me his most pressing question. Let's take this a step further. Would you still vote for Obama if he promises to build fewer concentration camps than Romney? The answer is an unequivocal, absolute yes. And in fact, I would go further. It is morally repugnant of you if you believe that candidate A will create more concentration camps in this hypothetical than candidate B to in any way aid or abet the election of that candidate A. Because I'm speaking in those terms because you're obviously writing to me with some type of moral righteousness. Look in the mirror and tell yourself that you are morally righteous because you would knowingly aid and abet someone who's going to create more concentration camps than less. Think about what you're arguing here. Would you tell a partisan in 1944 that if you can't get rid of all the concentration camps, there's no point in eliminating one of them? It's just absurd. He goes on to say, I cannot give money to a person who will vote for a candidate who kills civilians and continues to fight a war in Afghanistan despite promises to get out. Well, first of all, President Obama never, as a candidate, promised to get out of Afghanistan. And I actually do think that we're going to be getting out of Afghanistan even quicker than has been announced. But that's besides the point. If you think that you will ever have the opportunity to vote for an American president who could win, or even perhaps, yes, who could win, that will never spend our tax dollars on killing people, then you have better insight, or you're going to live a lot longer than I am. I mean, I get your drift. But you understand that if Romney allows his advisors and is dictated by his foreign policy advisors and starts a war with Iran, that by not voting, you are voting, giving Romney a half vote in the event that he wins. That's just the math. It's just completely the reality. That's why I stopped subscribing to mainstream newspapers that helped us get into wars, and that's why I must stop subscribing to your program. So please terminate my $10 a month payment. I appreciate it. Best of luck to you. I got no problem with someone ending their subscription to this program, particularly if you think it's going to help in some way prevent wars. But there's no logic here. You're just acting out like a child. There's absolutely no logic here. Never have I in any way ever helped promote war on this. Well, let me rephrase this, actually. Because I think I was on balance in favor of the Libyan intervention. Put aside for a moment the fact that I felt that Congress should have authorized it. But it doesn't seem to be what you're talking about here. And I'm not quite sure that was, well, for the sake of argument, let's say it was a war. But the idea in some way that you are going to prevent wars or whatnot, it's just simply misguided. And I actually have far less of a problem with your end of subscription than the righteousness in which you talk about the voting. Take that $10 and a month and, I don't know, make an art project that talks about, but you should go out and vote still. And you should vote for someone you believe who has a chance. You should not throw away your vote. And understand that you have no more leverage than I do at this point. And if you think this is going to teach President Obama a lesson, I got news for you. I'm aware of you canceling your subscription. And I know exactly what to attribute it to. You don't show up to vote, I guarantee you there will be no narrative that it's because of drones or whatnot. None. Zero. It will have absolutely no impact other than to make yourself feel more righteous. But as you're feeling more righteous, just remember that in some way you think it's okay that extra additional concentration camp in your hypothetical exists. It's actually a great hypothetical. If you were a partisan and you had the ability to shut one of 10 concentration camps? Would you say, not gonna? Because there's no difference between 10 concentration camps and 9 concentration camps. So to heck with it. I'm going to stay at home and feel very righteous that I just believe there should be no concentration camps. Good luck with that.